So we are going to be back, or I'm going to be back. And I'm now increasing the sound volume. I hope it's going to be enough. I'm trying to use technology to boost my voice when I can't give it my all right now. Now we are having an interesting mix of games on the other screen. So it's going to be slightly harder for me to follow everything that's working. Perhaps I'm going to fold everything to the top corner, but I don't know yet. Seems to be usually when Dayah is here, she's going to be my spotter when some of the tables on the other screen need attention, because it can be when I'm broadcasting, it's sometimes really hard to look at the other table when you are trying to talk about a hand in the other game. And for Kauris, notice that we lost the big pot with aces. The mobile phone player limp called pre-flop with king 10 off and got it in with just pair of kings, or actually the mistake for him was to be limping the king 10 off from UTG. That was the mistake, because he had something like just 7 or 8 big blinds. It could be okay to just shove it, but not to limp it, and limp calling isn't going to get him the pot often enough to make it profitable. And I'm thinking about doing the camera a bit better when I need to fit only myself to the picture. And Kauris, it's not really that sick. I think we got something like 85% equity there when we got it in. So it's still, we are going to lose 1 in 6. Actually on the flop we are getting 81%, so we are going to lose 1 in 5, so it's not as sick as it feels. But when you are getting dealt aces only once in 220 hands, it's going to feel a bit harder than it is in real life. And that's something that you just need to get used to. And we are seeing the supernova free roll. It starts really, really, really deep. So we are starting it 250 big blinds deep. So we are having a lot to play on, and most of the guys in the tables are going to be supernovas, so it's not going to be an easy tournament. There are some players that are playing the tournament even though they aren't supernovas. And actually that could be quite a good idea, because even though the field is tough on the supernova free rolls, if you are not a supernova but you are a gold star, you are paying, if you are an average player, you are paying like $120 worth of FPPs to take part in the satellite. And for that you are getting quite a good value for your FPPs, because if I'm seeing here we are having 4,500 players, so if you are getting in there, it's going to be valued as like $250 tournament but without break, so the value is going to be really good, and you would need to be at least minus 50% against the field here for it to not be profitable for you to take part through that. And if you are a platinum star, playing the satellites for the quarterly free roll for Supernova is going to be even better. And why it's going to be even better? Because then you are paying just $100 to get into a tournament that's valued at a much higher rate. So if you are at least Gold Star, you should be playing, and you are playing Saturdays, you should be playing the quarterly free roll satellites. We are going to be opening pretty much every pocket pair when we are so deep. If we are not opening them, it would be so hard for us to extract any value out of the hand. And with Queen 9, because we are... And now we are not having the best of flops, because it's going to be hard for us to extract value, and it's also likely that we are... Or more likely than other flops where we are hitting set, that we are not having the best hand. But we are having at least 7 outs to a better hand, and we are also having now we are having 10 outs on the turn to improve to a full house or a quads. And we are taking a bit of a pot control line here when we are facing aggression. Because when we are facing aggression on a monotone board, he's most likely having at least having a high card on the monotone color or monotone suit, and he might be having 2 of the same suit. And we are having quite a nice river, and we are now just thinking about how we are getting his. So we are going to be dunking here, and we are hoping that he's going to come over to top with king or ace of clubs. And what the frick just happened? And of course, when we are betting small, we might be inducing him to bluff a slightly unconventional type of hands, like 5-6 suited without any of the suit that he should have. And I think now it's pretty hard for me to market that this is going to be probably one of the stronger fields when he's playing 5-6 suited there against the UTG +1 open. Then when we are getting on the flop, he is going to re-raise me, and when I'm calling the re-raise, he's betting the turn big, and when I'm just calling it as well, then he's on the river. When I'm dunking against him, he's putting the aggression up, and he's going to shove rest of his stack with 6 high. But well, in a way it makes sense, because you are not going to win pot with 6 high without hitting or without bluffing me. But you could have you should have some idea that I'm probably having a strong hand when I'm taking the line that I'm going to take. So it's like probably the guy is just looking at his own cards that I'm not going to win this any other way than bluffing, and then just put the bluff button to the... He wanted to go to sleep. It's quite bad if you are playing like a tournament that's valued at close to $250. It's going to be quite bad that you are then trying to get to sleep early. And of course, when it's Saturday, you can be pretty inclined to just get rid of your stupid poker games so you can get to drinking. Or that would be the Finnish way of doing things. And actually we are in a slightly interesting spot because he's called too much and we are having a slightly nicer hand there. But when he's calling UTG +1, we are almost on the bubble. We are not, but if it would have been that we are on a cutoff with 8 king suited and the pot would be unopened, I would be really inclined to shove there. Or I would be shoving there with queen 8 suited for sure. But I think that shows a bit of the Finnish mentality that if the guy is doing a lot of stupid stuff, he needs to be drunk or... And now I'm just looking at which tournament should I get rid of when we are opening the grand tournament or the $1 3 times rebuy. But this is probably the best thing that can happen on the Supernova free roll, that we are getting easy chips at the beginning of the game. And we are hitting the set again, which is really nice. Now the flop is even better for us because there's a lot more than he can have. But when we are c-betting, it's then just going to be that he folds. And the 3 times turbo, I think that when I was scanning for nice tables to play, I just bypassed it because it's just a $1 game. But it's going to be much more. I think on average it's going to be something like $15 if you are going to play it perfectly. So 3 times turbo, it's going to be... It can be from anywhere to just needing 1 rebuy to double rebuy at the beginning and then just accumulating chips, or then it can be that it's going to be a really hard game and it's going to take you something like 40 rebuys. Because the 3 times turbo means that you are having rebuy time that lasts for 1.5 hours, but the structure is going to be turbo, so with 1 rebuy you are getting less than 1 big blind at the end of the game, so you are going to have situations that aren't going to be the best of spots for you. But usually people are really inclined to give their chips away in the 3 times turbo because you are going to have so many opportunities to rebuy. So I'm liking the three times turbos, and when people are giving up the game when you are not getting a lot of chips, then it's going to be good for you, because once I calculated like what is the average player doing in the games, and I think like only 1 in 2 players did get to their rebuy time, to the add-on time. And with the add-on time, because you are still far away from the bubble, but so you are getting almost a perfect return for your chips. But because the add-on is so high, like in the 3 times turbo, the add-on is, I think it was 30,000 chips, and the first buy-in is going to be 3,000 chips, and they are going to be the same price. you are getting like 20 to 30% ROI just by being an average player, but always getting to the rebuy. And I think that's something that's going to be quite interesting to look at, so that there is a tournament structure, that the tournament structure alone gives you decent return by how people are playing it wrong. And usually you should be thinking on the rebuy structures that you need to have enough money. If you are taking part to a rebuy tournament, you need to have enough money to get to the rebuy. If you are not having enough money to get to the rebuys, you are going to be losing money or not playing well in the rebuy tournaments. And that's something that we now lost, but we are having another 3 times turbo. And as I said, that we are quite likely to have people give us chips. I could show like how I doubled up there. It was quite an interesting hand. I got kings. I think I 3-bet, or I did bet quite a high bet pre-flop. I got something like 4 callers. Then it was Queen 9 3 flop, and we got check shoved on by Ace 9 offsuit, like backdoor flush draw. So people are trying to give you chips in the 3 times turbos, and you should be thankful and you should be willing to receive the chips they are giving you. We are having such deep stacks that we are going to 3-bet 7s, especially with position against the cutoff open. And it's going to be pretty likely that on the Supernova free roll we are having tables that we are having only 1 or 2 bad players against us. And that is going to be quite likely because most of the guys know that pretty much the optimal strategy of the tournament is going to be play tight at the beginning and then open up when blinds go up. And we are getting, on the 3 times turbo, we are getting aces, so we are getting excited because we are going to get it in good. And there are already 2 players all in, and then we got 1 more caller. And that was probably the biggest stack, and luckily we hit our ace, because if we wouldn't have hit our ace when he hit the 10, it wouldn't have been funny, because it would have been the second big stack that we would have lost with aces. But this is what you should be expecting from 3 times turbos. And it's going to be slightly interesting to compare the 3 times turbos that are going to be pretty much the easiest games there are compared to how high the real buy-in is. And then we are comparing them to the $1 million quarterly Supernova free roll. That's pretty much the strongest field of the tournaments that I have played, and usually the games are pretty horrible because all of the players pretty much know how they should be playing, and there are some random players that are. And then there's also, because I'm going to be slightly out of my element when we are playing about 170 big blinds deep, I'm going to just call with this ace-king suited. And when we are so deep, I'm not even that happy to see just the top pair against a tight player, but we are going to be check calling this at least, and we are going to be re-evaluating turn. Even when we are not that afraid of the flush, because it's not going to be that that probable, and it's not going to be that probable that we might be losing a thin value bet here, but I think it's more likely that he's going to, actually, because he checked the turn, if you would have bluffed, it would have been there, and when he doesn't bluff, it's going to be a good spot for us to value bet there, because there is probably he's having some showdown value, and we are trying to get the most out of his showdown value by betting. But if he starts to pot control on the turn, he's not that likely to be. And on the 3 times turbo, we are pretty much hitting it. And when we are hitting it, we are going to be betting it bigger than the usual tournament because we want to get the money in. And actually we should have been betting a bit more, but when she bets, we are going to be shoving it in. And we are getting it in against trips, and we are going to be winning it. And this is what makes it. Some players are getting in these 3 times turbos in the end, but I think they are losing value there because at the beginning of the tournaments we are having a huge edge over our opponents. So, and when we are having a huge edge over our opponents, then we are going to get, most of the time we are going to get quite cheaply to the with quite a big stack to the add-on period. And now, because Kauris has one of the biggest cashes of Poker-Mania thus far, a 9k cash from 3 times turbo, so this tournament plays like a lot bigger tournament. Because it's going to be 3x, and we got 2 callers there, and hope we'll run good there, but not this time. But we are still not that sad, because there's going to be a lot of good spots later on. And ace-3 suited we are going to get in on the turbo knockout. We have been just card dead for a long time there. And I'd say that we have not been saying the Dayah's nickname in public, but you can pretty much guess it. And if you guess it, please don't say it here. If we are getting it, if she is going to held one of these coachings and we are going to see the ladies games, then perhaps we are going to. We opened ace queen, and when it's 3 times turbo we are going to get it in, because this guy just limped there, and this is pretty likely. And also the other hand is also pretty likely that happened here, that we bet a little and the guy just shoved over us a huge overbet. And why that's quite likely is because I think that people in the 3 times turbos, they aren't good players and they don't know anything about bet sizes. And when they don't know anything about bet sizes, they are going to make mistakes that they are over shoving the flop a ton or something like that. And we lost on the 540 with the ace-3 suited, so but we got at least one cash from there. So we have cashed once during this session, and it was the first game we bought into, and that's nice. And on the 3 times turbo, because also even though we are having a big stack, nothing is still safe. Like in the add-on period, if we are holding this 30k stack, we are getting 20 BB stack there, and it's not going to be a lot. But like I think we are going to always take add-ons here, because the add-on is sold at such a discount that only I can't even think about the situation that you could not take add-on when you are at the add-on period on 3 times turbo. Sorry. I needed to close the door because Dayah is having the coaching session open on her own office, and when she's having it open there, it makes it harder for me to speak when my own voice is getting back to me by with a slight delay, so it's going to be a bit harder for me to speak then. We are going to be 3-betting ace-king off as well. And also remember, I'm not playing perfectly, so if you are having any comments on the game or what happens on the tables, please do, because I think we have had some really nice discussions on the chat of some hands, and we hope to see nice discussion as well. And if you are on some table with me, please tell me about it, so I'm now having enough tables that I can switch the table out. But as you see on the 3 times turbos, it's going to be quite interesting quite soon, because the blinds are going up quite quickly. And as we can see here, effectively most of the players here are having a really short stack, just like 3 or 4 anti-adjusted big blinds. So we will be shoving a lot. And I'm actually going to show you the lobby here. We have had 341 entries, but we have already lost 60 players. And the more players we lose before the add-on, the more profitable playing this with the best possible add-on strategy will be profitable for us. And when the buy-ins are so low, I think most of the people aren't even trying to guess what's the best add-on strategy. They just want to play something. Now I'm wondering, where could I... Actually, this tournament will have to go, because I got us a nice tournament, the hot $75. Hot $75 turbo. Actually, when it's about to start, I'm going to show you the next hand of the $22 sit and go, because we are going to shove it all in and hope we'll see something nice going on. And also, like Kauris asked, what can he note? You could also note on me that avoid at all costs. Because if you are watching this broadcast, you are likely to be one of the better players, because you are the players that want to get better. And when you are the players that want to get better, you should stay away from my tables. because it's going to be profitable for me. And is the stream good for others? That's also a good question. Is there some kind of technical problem with the stream? If there is, please tell us so that we can make it better. With the MTT set, there is always going to be breaks, and we can fix things during the breaks if something is broken. So please tell us if something isn't working like it should be. And we had the 3x turbo, ace king off. We just can't fold here when it's going to be a rebuy and there are two players. Even though there are two players all in, and usually it means a better hand, but in here we are going to be ahead of so many times. So like in 3x turbos, this is also something that increases variance because people are really inclined to get their money in at the early stages of the tournaments. Even with large stacks, it's going to increase your variance when you are trying to and stream is fine. That's good to hear. Thank you, Manies. That's usually just something that we are always trying to guess, like if we are not getting the amount of viewers we are thinking that we should be getting, then we are always thinking that if everything is working like it should be. And usually in PokerStars, most of the tournaments are paying out. Most of the tournaments are paying out or now there is late reg on the quarterly free roll. Usually there hasn't been a late reg. I was just wondering when the Supernova free roll is now almost 5,000 people. There's almost 5,000 people there. And Kaleon sent us a nice hand. I'm thinking it's going to be, when he says it's going to be a nasty spot, it's going to be a nasty one. Open it to a new window. And so, in case you don't know, Kaleon is one of our sit and go coaches. Thus far he has been doing material in Finnish, and he's aiming to be a Supernova elite this year, and he's playing everything from 30 to 200 bucks, if I'm correct. He got queens. It was a 3-bet pot. Just called with queens. He hit an overpair. The 3-better raised. And then on the turn the 3-better bet again. Like 2-barreling it there. It is a nasty spot, for sure. When you are having an overpair, you just don't want to give it up. Dayah, why you are afraid that you starting your own set is not a good idea? Now I'm moving this table out so that we can focus on the most impressive tournament. So we are having 3x turbos at the bottom. And now we see that someone shoves here for 100 big blinds, and it's going to be a fishy move every single time. And he's going to shove Jack 9 suited. That's something that we are going to note. And that is something you should note. If someone is doing something really stupid, always your first idea should be, what kind of note should I write here? And that's also something that you should be doing a lot. You should be writing notes, because writing notes is adding money to your bank account in the long run. So write notes, write notes, write notes. And that's also what I'm doing here. When I'm looking around at the tables, I'm trying to increase the amount of information I'm getting from one glance, because usually I'm playing quite a huge amount of tables, so I need to have the information I want at a glance. And Kauris says that he now notes players before add-on on 3x turbos that they are having a lot of money and they are playing an unlimited lotto. And that's probably what the Donson is playing. But that means that if he's shoving, we are going to call him really wide. So that's going to be something that we will be doing. With ace deuce off, we are going to shove here if it comes to us unopened. And even though we are having our own chat here, even though Matti shoved there, the shove is so short stacked that we are going to get it in good against him at least. And getting it in good against his range, not necessarily against his exact hand that he has. Oh well, we didn't lose much and we still had 24% equity pre-flop. That's going to be enough for us because the pot is 12,000 and we paid 3,000 to get in. So 24%, even though we were dominated, it's going to be enough for us to be taking that kind of a gamble there, which is quite interesting. But that's also showing you how you need to know the equities, that when situations are really short stacked, that when you can go there. And Kauris said if he's playing sick lines, maybe I should note him. It's also that it's good that if you are noting a player, that you are not playing yourself against, but you are like in this stream that you have seen how he plays. Jack 10 suited would be an insta shove here, but I think I'm going to get too much calls for Jack 10 to not be profitable so far away. If I would have been on the cutoff with Jack 10, then I would have shoved it. But right now, nope. Not going to do it. And I'm thinking about the Sunday Million 3 times turbo, that when we are going to see, or actually now I know when we are going to see, when we are at the add-on break or after the add-on break, we are going to see how many seats we are going to have there. I'm going to guess that we are having at least 5 or 6 seats. If someone has played a lot of these games, please drop us a note on what it usually means. And we got another 3 times turbo Sunday Million sat on the other screen, so we hope that we are going to show you a few 3 times turbos going far. And now when we are having the checking off, if we are playing like this, that we are noticing that we are having almost 25 big blinds, we wouldn't be shoving, but because every single player behind us are so much shorter, we are going to shove checking off because we are effectively playing only for 10 big blinds, and if you are taking effective adjusted big blinds, it's even going to be less. But for Kauris, because there are 7,000 players on the 3x turbo, even though you are making sick notes, that's probably even not enough. We are going to be doing a small c-bet against the road to Nepal after we have 3-bet. I think we are going to get some folds there, and we are also getting some good cards to carry on betting. And 9 is one of those good cards because we are getting extra equity there. And also when we are 2-barreling, we are going to make him give up his hand more often because... But if we don't improve and he doesn't give up, we are going to check behind on the river, most likely. Because if he's going to be calling 2 streets, it's going to be quite likely that even by pre-pairing we are not getting him out of his hands that often. Especially if the river card doesn't change much. And if it changes something like if it's an ace, we are then getting showdown equity there. That's going to be good. If the straight comes in, it's going to be also... If it's going to be our straight, we are then going to bet for value, and if it's going to be a straight that we don't hit, then it's also harder or then it's still a good place for us to bluff because we have practically no showdown equity with just ace high, and if the most likely straight comes through, then it's going to be hard for him to call with just a pair. So we are getting better hands folding. We are getting better hands to fold, so pardon my English, I'm not a native speaker and sometimes I get my tongue into a knot. So and it's also interesting, we need to have here something like 27-28%, and with King 9 suited, because it's suited hand, we are going to get much more than that quite often, and because we are not likely to be dominated there, and also we are having the suited added equity of about 3% for there, and we are getting 26% against, because we are getting dominated there, but just barely. And actually we got double dominated there because it was the ace. No, not double dominated, but dominated by the King 10. But hands like suited hands increase in value when we are having more players in the pot, because if you are hitting a flush, you are more likely to still get the pot. Noriaki Kasai wins the medal of ski jumping, but isn't he an old man already? Perhaps ski jump is a sport for old men then, that even they can do quite well. Ace 9 suited is probably, it's going to be too wide with my post flop skills deep to open there, so probably I'm screwing my equity a bit there. Sorry that I'm not speaking at the moment. I'm quite busy on the other side of my screen. Actually surprised about the jacks because I thought that jacks is it's practically the top of his range anyway. And at that 3 times turbo I'm not going to fold. I'm not going to fold ace king to a 1 re-raise. And Kaleon has the answers again that Noriaki Kasa is just 41 years old. He's a young man. Yeah, compared to someone like Teemu Selänne, he's going to be a youngster, but probably the oldest ski jumper there is on the competition. And in the 3 times turbo we got a pretty nice big stack at the beginning of the tournament, and now we are going to have to fight for it once again. When we are not having the biggest stack at the table anymore, we are having quite a short stack there. And on the Supernova free roll, as you can see, we are going to be 3-betting the widest guy. We are going to be 3-betting a lot. So this road to Nepal. But someone like Demorian, he has been so needy that why should I 3-bet him wide? But the road to Nepal, he has been opening like SBs and big blinds every time. So we are going to be playing against them. And Kauris84 said that Kasai and Selänne, they are both good athletes. I think they are both extraordinary athletes to be at the top of their respective fields, even though their bodies should be pretty much giving up some of the steam already. And now we are seeing that people are trying to get to the their rebuys by just purchasing 1 rebuy at a time, and then they are trying to just limp their way through. And that's also bad for us because now we are going to need to tighten up a bit, because we are going to need to win at least the guy that's on the big blind, because he's going to be always calling. With Jack Queen suited, we don't really mind. It's going to be a shove for us because there are just 2 or 3 players behind us that we really care about, and all the other times we are getting it in good. And actually now I'm trying to get second thoughts about Jack Queen suited, because even though we are most likely getting calls from just the big blind and small blind, we are never winning the pot pre-flop, so we should be less inclined to be shoving there. Even with a hand as good as Queen 10 suited. And Kauris said that you can win a 3 times turbo with only 19k chips and an add-on of 30k chips. Yeah, but I want to get to the add-on with the best possible situation I can have. So I'm going to still be aggressive. I'm not going to be trying to safety my way. And now we are having a nice spot on the 3 times turbo on the other screen. We are having kings there. And we are having 2 players all in already before us. And we got a limper special that someone limped aces and then someone shoved 7-10 and 7 ace behind them. So welcome to the easy games. We have been hitting quite nicely on the whip quarterly free roll, so we are going to carry on for value, but we are going to be I'm also thinking about on the 3 times turbo that I probably should think about shoving there as well. And why? Because I think that I'm going to get calls from them even if I shove there. It's going to be the easiest way to play. And we are both pot controlling ace queen there. It's going to be lotto from hell, only if I'm not winning. Other times I don't mind. I don't mind putting my money in good. If it would have been road to Nepal that would have opened, I would have 3-bet ace 3 off anyways, and I could have 3-bet it. I could have 3-bet it against this Kambala as well, but if his stats are really needy, I don't think it's going to be profitable to be 3-betting him really wide. So that's something that I'm going to be more aware of, that what kind of players are opening against me, and that's going to limit my options a lot. That what I'm going to do against the players. And if the players are needy, I'm going to be 3-betting a lot less against the needy players than the wide players. And player can be even needy, but if they are stealing a lot from position, then I'm going to be more inclined to play aggressively against them on the late positions. But if the players that are needy but active on the late position are opening from UTG, I'm then playing against them if they are having nuclear waste as their hand, because usually on the early position their range is going to be so strong. And on the whip quarterly reroll, I think that I'm having an advantage over the field, even with really deep stacks, but I think I'm having more of an advantage when the stacks get shorter, especially when there are going to be cash game players that are getting their supernovas but aren't very good tournament players. I would have hoped some hand there when we are having the short stack, but if we don't get hands, we can't be forcing action, because forcing action is probably just stupid when we are always going to get called with the short stack. And now that we most require to hit good cards, we are not getting any. But I don't think that we can complain that much when we are still there, still quite close to the add-on period, and we have made just one rebuy, because that's going to be way less than most of the field has made. And actually, on all of my 3x turbos, I have made just one rebuy and I have really nice stacks on all of those, so I'm getting lucky. I'm getting really lucky. And we are going to a break, and you all know what that means. We are playing optimally for the break, so we are taking a break and trying to get more refreshed. We can be hitting our heads to the pine tree outside or doing something that makes the blood flow. I'm probably going to get another cup of coffee, so see you in 5 minutes.